Welcome. We're so glad that you all can be here with us for the Cook Together, Eat Together presentation. We're going to focus today on trying to make some great memories through meals and getting your kids in the kitchen. So this is Chef Nolan, and he is the son of one of our faculty members, Heather Norman Bergdorf, and he's going to show us later on how to make a cornbread salad that's part of our book, Cook Together, Eat Together, that's available through University Press of Kentucky. It was just published in 2021, and it's a small, affordable, great way to help kids and parents learn how to cook together. So Chef Nolan is going to give us a demo in a little while, and I want to encourage you when you're working with your kids on things like cooking or eating or foods. A lot of children today are really interested in growing and preparing foods. And if you want to encourage them, you'll see later on, there could be a college education and a career in this. So we want to encourage those young cooks and food connoisseurs out there. We work with Family and Consumer Sciences Extension. And so our programs are available in all 120 offices in Kentucky throughout the state. And we have a number of programs, and the way this program was developed was as a social event for parents and children to come together at the Extension office and cook and eat together. And we learned a lot of things. I'm going to tell you about those things. One of the ones that was most surprising to me is how unsafe parents think their kitchens are, scared to get the kids in there. So we took a social marketing approach where we really listened to people, and we wanted to promote healthy home-cooked family meals. And the word cloud that you see here is a result of about 8 focus groups that we did. We went all over the state and listened to about 65 people. And we had a facilitator, Rona Roberts, who then wrote a great report for us that really summarized what people told us. And what we heard when we listened was that people did want to learn more about healthy home-cooked family meals, but they wanted to do it in a fun social setting. They wanted to do it with their children, make it a family activity, because the relationship in families of food and cooking and that deeply rooted taste preferences and practices, that's the most treasured aspect of cooking, when people cook together. And then another thing that we heard from parents is that they think that it's really important that their children be able to cook so that they will be able to take care of themselves. And I got to say, from some of the things that we, people were in a panic, you all, when restaurants closed. I believe we need more cooking. And so I think that's a strong motivator. Some of the barriers that we found were that these folks who are in our limited resource programs did not have a lot of money for food purchases. Also, they dreaded cleaning up the dishes, and some people thought it was a real task to try and find things that everybody in the family liked. Most people were not eating away from home or in line at the fast food restaurant. They cooked from scratch a lot of the week, but sometimes they depended on convenience items, as we all do these days. I mean, who has not used a bag of coleslaw mix? So they really do that sometimes, but it's not as affordable. And most are fairly skilled. They were confident in their cooking, but they felt like they could do a better job with the healthy part of it. Stress of employment and family demands left less time. And that's too bad, because family time was the thing that was treasured. They talked about the importance of food shopping, cooking with children, and then cleanup as a barrier. So we developed this little graphic because you all this stuff is going on in your head all the time when you're thinking about what's for dinner. You might be someone who does on paper or on your phone planning, and then you go do the shopping either by yourself or with children. You get home, you get it all put up, you prepare it, serve it, eat it, clean it up, store the leftovers. And then when you start thinking about it again, you've got this kind of running inventory in your head of, okay, this is what's in the pantry. I have milk. I need to get bread. So this is a kind of an ongoing responsibility when you're in charge of family meals. So this program is designed to make that easier. And we have some key program features that were based on audience preferences. In fact, in the cookbook, there's kid-friendly, youth-appropriate tasks for different ages, for toddlers, for preschoolers, all the way up to middle schoolers. And this is Courtney Luking, another extension specialist, and her daughter, Sophia. And we just know that kids are more likely to eat foods when they help prepare it, they helped grow it, they help pick it out. And it also is a great teaching opportunity that will serve them well in the future. The results we got were hugely positive. Fruit and vegetable consumption increased to ½ a cup each day. I know that may not sound like much to you, but this gets my people all excited. It is hard, especially to budge vegetable intake. And so when you're talking about 5 servings a day, getting 2 more servings, that's huge. And so it really does appear to help people eat more vegetables when you go through the program and use the recipes and the meal planning approaches that we advocate, and when you do that with children. So this is my plug for your children and other people that you may know who are interested in maybe coming to UK. They should consider dietetics and human nutrition if food and nutrition and cooking are of interest to them. We have all kinds of openings in family and consumer science extension, and there's a land-grant university in every state. They all employ extension food and nutrition people, as well as registered dietitians. So send us your treasures, send us your youth. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jackie, and she's going to give us a tour of the book.
Okay. The quote that you see here, if you want to bring your family together, the kitchen is a good place to start. That is the first line in the foreword of this book. And it really hits at the heart of what Kentuckians told us would help them cook healthy meals at home more often. So that's why it's the first line in the book, and that's what it's all about. Next slide. So these are the main sections of the book. And the reason that they're the main sections of the book is because this is specifically what our research told us people wanted to know more about. This is what they wanted to learn to do and to learn to cook. In shopping, there's a lot of information just about the basics for eating better on a budget, because remember, price was one of the first obstacles that people told us they had to eating and cooking healthier food at home. So it's things like inexpensive and good quality proteins, and buying the quality you need for your purpose, and planning ahead, and that kind of thing. And then there are sections on shopping smart at the grocery store and another section on shopping smart at the farmer's market. We would prefer that the classes get to actually take a tour of the grocery store so that they can talk about and just see firsthand about how layout and marketing affects choices and so on. But in the classes, we do also have a video if they don't get to do that. And then there's information again about smart strategies for shopping at the farmer's market. In the breakfast section, this was included because people, they know it's an important meal. They know that eating breakfast is correlated with better health and that they should feed their children, something good before they go out the door. But it's hard to do. We're all trying to get to work and to school on time, and it's not easy. So this contains recipes that are healthy and easy, but also includes some grab and go suggestions and recipes for things that you can have on hand that are healthy. The soup section has tips to make a good soup, and it has recipes, but it also has information about the basics to create your own good soups. Because we hope that what we're doing is laying a foundation for people, to learn things that they can apply again and again in their lives. The salad section is the same. There are tips for making a good salad, and there are recipes, but there are also for directions for making your own salad dressings your way. The vegetables section is kind of important. Fresh can be expensive, and a lot of people did not want to spend that money on fresh vegetables if their family wasn't going to eat them. So one lady, when we asked what would help them, get their family to eat vegetables, she said, well, when you can make a vegetable taste as good as a French fry. So toward that end, we actually have a recipe for oven fried zucchini that is healthy and good for you. But we taught roasting vegetables and quick pickling and some of the things that might make a vegetable as good as a French fry. We have sections on one-pot meals because those are fast and easy and can be nutritious and well-balanced. Also, slow cookers were something that people were interested in. And we had recipes, but also tips for making your own slow cooker meals. And lastly, the section on snacks, because when families are all on different schedules and sometimes kids are home by themselves, they're going to snack. And you can make some homemade snacks that are healthier and cheaper than store-bought. So we included some recipes, but we also included some grab and go suggestions for snacks. And all of our recipes were tested with our audience, and only the ones that got high marks were included. So there's nothing in there that isn't a tested and tried and successful recipe. Okay, next slide. So there's also an appendix for things that we knew would be useful for people, but might not be things that they carry around in their head, like substitutions. If a recipe calls for self-rising flour and you don't have self-rising flour, well, you can make it with all-purpose flour and some baking powder and salt. So it tells you how to do that. And basic home cooking skills like egg cookery or how to roast a whole chicken. Things like that are included in there. Also, we tell people to buy in season. So there's a Kentucky produce availability chart for that. We tell people, or they have told us that they want to include their children in the kitchen, but some people don't know where to start. So as Janet mentioned earlier, we have a chart that tells you by age, what's a good appropriate task that you can include. When Janet asked that question, my first memory of being in the kitchen is standing on a chair to crush cornflakes on the counter for a casserole that my dad was making. That's the first thing that I can think of. But I know that I was being included as soon as I was interested and as soon as I could help with even, simple little things like that. It was fun and it was time with my parents, and that made me want to be there more. Knife skills are a basic thing that a lot of people can use help with. And so there's a section on that, on how to use herbs and spices. So it's just full of interesting stuff that people have told us they would like to know that might not be in there. Go ahead. So this shows the layout of one of the recipe pages. And you can see that each recipe includes some little tip that addresses things people told us they wanted to know, like how to make it kid friendly. It tells you, what the kids can do to help on this recipe. And people said they dreaded cleanup. So we tried to include some tips on how to make the cleanup a little bit easier for each recipe, and how to include their family once they sit down to the table, how to start a conversation. People told us they loved leftovers. So this is a recipe that can easily use leftovers. Also, you can use leftover ranch dressing from this recipe for other things. And again, keeping it budget friendly, you can make your own salad dressing. So there's a tip for that. But one of the coolest things that I think that we did was that we gathered so much insight and wisdom from people in our focus groups that we included a quote from a participant on each recipe. I don't know if you can read that on your screen. I'm kind of struggling and I know what it says, but it says, I think for me, I'm a Southerner. I learned all the wrong ways to make everything taste good, So I think I just want to learn how to make things taste better the healthy way. I could live longer. That says a lot, doesn't it? And I think at this point now I can turn it over to Jeannie for a video.
Hi, everyone. Well, that was a good segue to the video that we're going to show. It is the cornbread salad recipe. And Janet mentioned earlier that Chef Nolan, who is the son of one of our coworkers, Heather Norman Bergdorf, is both Heather and Nolan are in this video preparing the recipe. And we were there that day to help with the video recording. And I just have to say how great it was to see him, in action. And you really see the application of if you involve kids in the kitchen and if they're part of the cooking process, how likely they are to actually consume the food. So this cornbread salad has lots of added vegetables. And each layer of vegetables, he would, we didn't film this, but on the side, he would ask if he could, have a little handful or taste a little bit, of each vegetable. And just, you could really see how him playing a role in the preparation process made him more likely to want to try it all. So I will start this video and let you enjoy it. Let's see.
You are going to love this easy and delicious southern cornbread salad.
All right, well, I hope you did enjoy that. And just a few more tidbits on the cornbread salad recipe. If you end up getting the cookbook or you already have it and you want to make it, it stores really well. It doesn't really get soggy because there's not, a bunch of lettuce like a typical salad, but there's tons of good hearty vegetables in there, really filling. You can even put it in little mason jars, for grabbing lunch on the go throughout the week. And as you saw Nolan in there, it's just a great recipe for kids to be involved in because there are just different tasks that, depending on the age group, that they can play a part of. And we mentioned the focus groups and how people talked about their favorite foods, and a lot of people went back to something related to a family tradition or something they learned from a family member how to make. And cornbread salad was mentioned quite a bit. So that was our own spin on it by adding lots of vegetables and getting some beans and protein and fiber in there, and just really kind of making it, putting a new spin on a classic dish to lots of families.